Welcome to Boys Choir Today, the podcast brought to you by the St. John's Boys Choir in Collegeville, Minnesota. I'm your host, the Artistic Director of the St. John's Boys Choir, Paul John Rudoy, and I'm excited to share this special episode revolving around one of the best-known works for boys choir, and frankly, choir in general, Benjamin Britten's Ceremony of Carols. The idea of this podcast came when we in the St. John's Boys Choir knew we couldn't perform this work as we usually do every Christmas season. So we hope you enjoy this episode, bringing you to a performance of ours back in 2015, alongside short stories from several leaders in the boys choir field.
Hello, my name is Julian Ackerley, and I'm the director of the Tucson, Arizona Boys Chorus. I'm delighted to be invited by our friends at the St. John's Boys Choir to share some thoughts about Benjamin Britten's cantata, A Ceremony of Carols. Written in 1942, A Ceremony of Carols is one of Britten's most popular and widely performed works. I have done the piece with the Tucson, Arizona Boys Chorus a number of times over the years. The form is a multi-section cycle of 11 movements, including the 8 carols and a harp interlude, and a processional and recessional on both ends based on that same Gregorian chant. The chant really unifies the different elements of the work.
I'm Kevin Fox. I was the founding artistic director of Pacific Boy Choir Academy in California. I have a lot of memories of Ceremony of Carols. I sang it as a kid. I'm not sure we ever did the whole thing. We did parts of it. I remember singing it, and we did There Is No Rose, but we did it in the Middle English. There is no rose, oh such fair too. And I don't think there was really any reason that we should have done that, but it was really interesting.
Let's
I remember one night we were kind of running behind schedule and we were recording the Procession. And I thought the Procession would be really easy because it just repeats a lot. But we wanted to get the sound of people walking through the cathedral, of the singers, of the choristers walking through the cathedral, getting kind of closer as the song goes on. And so what could be easier, right? Just walking through a cathedral, singing this chant that they had done a million times. Well, for various reasons, because we had to test out where to start physically in the room, how long it would take to walk. Of course, we had to do it twice, walking in and walking out for the beginning and the end. Well, what I thought was going to be really, really easy took a really long time. And the Procession, which I didn't want to spend a lot of time on at all, took a long time. So I was really frustrated by that. And the next thing we did was There Is No Rose. And as recording sessions go, you never know what's going to happen. That one we did, I think we used the first take. We ended up doing 3 takes just to be safe. But after spending an hour or so on the Procession, I was so relieved that we were able to do that so quickly.
Hello, my name is Paul John Rudoy, and I am the Artistic Director of the St. John's Boys Choir. I'm so excited to have so many friends and colleagues on this special episode about Ceremony of Carols. The one memory that sticks out in my mind isn't actually singing it, although I sang it many times in different forms and different movements as a boy soprano and later as a tenor in my professional career. But the memory that sticks out to me is when I programmed it with the Eugene First United Methodist Church Choir while I was out getting my master's at the University of Oregon. I was their choir director for a few years, and they had already performed different iterations of Ceremony of Carols over the years, so I was just lucky enough to join in their fun. But I was also excited to implement some of the programming I get excited about. I particularly like it when you have choral experiences that combine with other art forms or other words to make it a more holistic, universal experience. And luckily, I had found some poetry by Madeleine L'Engle, who became very famous for her Wrinkle in Time series. And she had a variety of poems from the perspective of the teenage Mary. What's really interesting is that she's able to encapsulate what we can all imagine would be a lot of fear and nervousness around finding out that you're pregnant as a teenager and giving birth. Madeleine L'Engle does a great job in this poetry, so I decided to intersperse those poems between different movements. I mean, originally it was written for boys' voices, so there's a lot of delicate atmospheric sounds coming from choices Britten made. So both of those melded together to make one extremely meaningful church service. It was actually a sacred experience for all involved.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for the invitation to be part of your podcast, Boys Choir Today. And from all of us at the Minnesota Boy Choir, happy holidays to you, the members of the St. John's Boys Choir, and to all of your listeners. What an iconic piece of choral repertoire by Benjamin Britten. I remember first hearing the piece as a young boy, but more formally introduced to a ceremony of carols while studying music in college. I've never programmed the entire work, but I have introduced and performed This Little Babe several times during my tenure with the Minnesota Boy Choir. And one special memory sticks out about this movement for me. It must be maybe 10 years ago now, but I had an excellent harpist singing in the choir and decided that he should learn and accompany the performance of the piece. I'll never forget that first rehearsal with Kevin on the harp. He wheeled that giant instrument, almost twice his size, into the rehearsal room, and the rest of the boys became very curious. Came time to rehearse that movement with him, and boy, did that room full of probable skeptics turn into rousing applause when we released those final notes. We clapped and clapped and clapped for him. What an amazing feeling of joy and collaboration. It took this quick, exciting movement to another performance level for us, not only showcasing beautiful singing and beautiful melodic lines, but also the chance to showcase choir boys with multiple talents. Audiences just loved it. And I and the other members of the choir had such a feeling of pride for him and for our organization.
This episode of Boys Choir Today is brought to you by Mahold Insurance, one of the St. John's Boys Choir's 40th anniversary silver sponsors. Located in St. Cloud, Minnesota, Mahold has provided much more than insurance since 1930. These are experts in commercial, benefits, personal, and risk management, and they go above and beyond basic protection by providing you with a tailored team to celebrate your successes and proactively monitor your needs. More than just coverage, Mahold offers guidance and support through life's many changes. For more information on what Mahold has to offer you, visit mahold.net. That's MAHOWALD.net. Please stay tuned into the rest of this special episode for more memories from boys choir directors around the country. While we won't have our usual song break this episode, please tune in to future episodes of Boys Choir Today, where we will continue to offer not just new music and interviews, but a short song that we can learn together, which you can sing with your friends and family safely in your homes, around the dinner table, or wherever you feel most comfortable. Sign up for the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts or at boyschoirtoday.buzzsprout.com. And most of all, if you liked what you heard, please visit sjbchoir.org to donate to the St. John's Boys Choir today.
Though This Little Babe and Deo Gracias are probably the most well-known movements, I think my favorite is number 8, In Freezing Winter Night, which is based on a poem by Robert Southwell. Britten uses a wide variety of effects and expressions to create certain moods or to emphasize certain text throughout all the movements. He creates the effect of freezing cold in Freezing Winter Night. Particularly, the harp tremolos create a sense of trembling cold. There's a lot of dissonances in the vocal music where the sounds don't seem to agree with each other. This also helps create the effect of icy cold. This movement tells the circumstances of the birth of Christ and employs the choir to sing in a round to create an echoing effect. And the choir and harp progress through the movement at contrasting paces and, over the duration of the piece, gradually synchronize. I think this is meant to represent the discord on earth before and during the birth of Christ. And then the turmoil ends on a glorious G major chord, even though very quiet. This is at the end of the movement, symbolizing the hope of the future and the harmony the Christ child brings.
First of all, I want to start by saying that I love doing the Ceremony of Carols, and there's too many movements to list as my favorite. I just love the entire cycle. But when I think of Ceremony of Carols, I think of a performance that we did not long after Hurricane Wilma had knocked out power in our building for several months. We were able to put the concert together, and it was a really fine performance. But the thing that springs out in my mind was something that happened during the performance. I'm conducting, and things are going very well, and the boys are singing great. And about halfway through, I saw one of the boys hold up the linen of his kata. Now, if you know anything about vestments, you know that they come in two parts, that there is the cassock, which is the kind of the red, long, floor-length robe, and then there's this outer linen cover that some people call the surplice, some people call the kata. He was holding this linen kata up, almost like it was a bowl in front of him. And he had this mischievous look on his face. And this boy has been mischievous, and so I suspected that he was up to no good. I sufficiently ignored him for us to end with a fine performance. We exited the stage. He continued to walk with his bowl-shaped kata. And when we arrived backstage, there was a lot of excitement around him. So I walked over and I said, "What is going on over here?" And he said to me very proudly, "I threw up halfway through and I have it right here, and I made it all the way through the performance." And I looked down, and sure enough, it was a point of great pride for him, and one that the boys admired very much. So that's one Ceremony of Carols memory that I have. It's a pretty good story.
Finally, I really enjoy the 11th movement, Deo Gratias, Adam Lei Bunden, and the way Britten musically portrays the fall of man from Genesis with syncopations and frequent changes of mood and dynamics. This movement is always fun to sing and not as terrifying as This Little Babe. I really grow more appreciative of the choral music of Benjamin Britten each year, and I certainly plan to program a Ceremony of Carols for the Texas Boys Choir in the future.
Thanks for listening to this special episode of Boys Choir Today. Our guests were Julian Ackerley, director of the Tucson, Arizona Boys Chorus, with which my brother, Morgan Bothwell, sang in his elementary school days; Craig Dennison, formerly of Florida Singing Sons, as well as the former assistant director at the American Boy Choir, where I was a boy soprano under his baton; Mark Johnson, director of the Minnesota Boy Choir; Kevin Fox, who was founder and former director of the Pacific Boy Choir Academy, as well as a former tour proctor for my tours with the American Boy Choir; and Jonathan Ledger, the music director of the Texas Boys Choir. The music throughout this episode is from the St. John's Boys Choir's 2015 Ceremony of Carols concert. Our annual Ceremony of Carols concert is very special for our boys, their families, and the broader central Minnesota community, and I know we're not the only organization missing personal, meaningful traditions right now. As you're able, please remember to donate to the arts institutions and organizations that touch your life. They may not be as present in your life as they have been, but with your support, they'll return, ready to transform through music again. Please tune in for future episodes of Boys Choir Today at boyschoirtoday.buzzsprout.com or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to singing with you soon. If you happen to still be listening, it means that you noticed that the track wasn't quite over. Yes, that's right. We are officially in a secret track area. The St. John's Boys Choir artistic team decided to put together a little We Wish You a Merry Christmas for anyone listening. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and we will sing together soon in the new year.
We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding. Oh, bring us some figgy pudding and a cup of good cheer. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. We won't go until we get some. So bring some out here. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.